Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Deborah Leanne.
You look absolutely beautiful this morning. May I say that?
Oh, thank you. Cheers to you. Good, good,
Mhm.
good, good.
I've been up since 2. So,
So have I.
so I have a feeling that this gene key wants to come through in some kind of special way. And we were just so excited that we couldn't sleep like little kids.
Oh boy.
Yippee-yay! So, for my sanity,
Mm.
since I've already been doing all kinds of random things like laundry and stuff this morning, um, would you drop in with me?
Sure, I'll be happy to drop in with you.
Ah, all right. So I always this is such a good reminder because it reminds me of how I'm sitting all torqued up. So let's just find some space so that our energy can flow, can be there, right? And really feeling um on this leap day, which is so important. I think this is such a magical day. It's like having an extra day. That we are grounded into Mother Earth, that she is holding our legs down and in a beautiful, supportive way, um, allowing us to just release to her, just release all of that stuff that we don't need, all of that anxiety and everything. So as we inhale, let's breathe in our divine light and essence and remembering of who we are. And as we exhale, let's bring what doesn't fit anymore, what feels discordant with this newer light, and let it go down into Mother Earth. So it's almost like we're spanning, we are the bridge between Earth and the heavens, the stars. So I kind of like to imagine that I'm plugged into my star family or angelic or God source or infinite intelligence or divine love, however you want to define that, receiving that connection and on a more aware stage, which is it's always there, but when we are aware, we can really feel it coming down and through and opening through our minds, our ears, our heart space, out through the tips of our palms. So we can send this energy out in our thoughts, words, and deeds, in our connections to others. And then as we go into our belly, finding the source of our truth, which is this gene key, finding the source of our doubt, which is also this gene key, because doubt is truth. And the last thing that I want to connect with is watching how we welcome in the stuff that feels good and how we push away the stuff that doesn't feel good. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about that because that's not, fun, or that might make me look foolish or whatever. Because this is my gene key sitting right square in the middle, circular in the middle of my gene key, it's this doubt thing is so key. So we want to welcome all of us to be here and now and present. And that feels more in alignment. Thank you.
Integrated.
Yeah, that true.
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for those that are joining this, we're talking about the 63rd gene key, and this is from the book Gene Keys, written by Richard Rudd. And we're moving through different states of consciousness, and Deborah alluded to the fact that the ones that are here, the shadows that are very human, is doubt, and we're going to go kind of into that. And we can reach the acidic state, which is the highest state through of truth, but it's through the gift of inquiry that the juice really happens. So, Deborah, since this is like pertinent in your profile, I'd like to know a little bit more about how doubt kind of plays that role in your life, and what is doubt? Where does this come? Where does this come from?
Oh, I um it's so fascinating because we always just want to know. We really, I mean, that was the world wake up call during the pandemic when we had so much uncertainty, and it's caused a lot of mental anguish and anxiety and a variety of other physical, mental, spiritual issues since then. And for me, the doubt goes way back to, am I alive if I'm not seen? Am I alive if I'm not, like, I knew I was connected to something bigger as a child, right? In nature and playing around with all that. And then I was the wake up call of, no, your voice isn't welcome at the table. No, you need to stop dancing around. No. So then I'm like, okay, if that's not right and that's not right, and if I'm being me and that's not right, then who am I? And am I worthy of being loved? And all, I mean, it just kept going on and on. So that search, that self-doubt, that continuous unsurety of who am I if those things are wrong, according to my caretakers, then where is the right me? I have a funny story that came out around that this morning when I was journaling. Oh my God. That I was just 5 years ago at a retreat, and I was saying, I wake up every day with this mantra in my head about, I want to be the best me. I want to be the best me. And the teacher goes, so what if you woke up and you didn't want to be the best you? And I was like, well, then who would I be? And she goes, well, wouldn't you still be you? And anyway, it was fascinating because I was like, I just started laughing. You know how when those truths hit you and it's you, either I burst into tears or I laugh out loud. I was laughing so loudly, so contagiously. The whole group in the retreat was laughing. People were stopping outside the hotel room in the hallway, like the cleaning staff and the marketing staff and the office person that was, waiting outside to keep people from walking in. They were all like, what is going on in there? And so they were laughing. So what it did was it created this truth that was rippling out of, you know what? I am me. I am always my best me. Why am I trying to be the best me? So anyway, that's my big thing with doubt, which is really always there.
Yeah, it's interesting. The way he explains it is it's that very logical aspect of our brain. And the one that loves to see patterns and is very analytical and very very logic. It's all
Yeah, this
very
this is a lot about the brain.
super logic. Well, and to remember that one of my mentors used to say, this is not the operating system.
And as a kid, it was just so incongruous because my mind was telling me that what these adults were saying was that that wasn't right. And I'm like, but I know that that's right. I mean, so I was, and then I didn't know which I doubted this, I doubted them, I doubted, you know.
Right. Well, I should have pointed to this side. This is my left side. So this is the logic side.
And look at you have the pretty colors on your other pretty side.
My right.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he goes into is, what you were discussing is that self-doubt. That's the repressive nature of this key.
Mm.
And, but what's beautiful, I want to just say what's beautifully born out of self-doubt is scientific insight. Mm-hmm. When we kind of like dig into it and kind of allow it to blossom. It's when we get into such self-doubt that we spiral, and that's where sometimes the mental gyration or the mental instability happens, because your brain is on just on a loop, and then that causes the chemistry in your body to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really
Yeah, I mean, then how you look at the world is through that lens
right.
of doubt, or which is what created that search for me, right? About I have to get the answers of what to make me lovable so I can be the right person, so I can be the right me, like it was out there.
It's somewhere out there.
If I go to Hawaii, is it there? If I go to
I know, I get that. Now it's interesting because then the reactive nature is that on steroids. So it's like, so you doubt yourself so much that you're suspicious of everybody else's stuff because you're just projecting it out into the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they kind of, it's typically formed into anger. So if you think of the word suspicion, it's angry self-doubt.
Yeah. And oh, there's a term for the psychological thing. I was watching a horrible TV show last night, but that was what the profiler for the police department figured out, that this person was, every person had been replaced. Every one of his people that he knew and loved had been replaced by people out to kill him. So he had this whole suspicious thing that everybody, and it was all caused by his internal programming. And it was fascinating though to see how he would make everybody else guilty in his mind to make him feel right, you know. And I thought,
yeah, that's that rightness again. Yeah.
How often do we do that? Oh my goodness.
um so a lot of times if people are hanging out in that key, they're not really tapping into their creativity often, and maybe that's why I'm having
Play?
so much.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah,
That play.
they get super serious.
That's another one of my shadows.
Yeah,
Susanne knows that.
but that if it can crack open, the magnificence of this key is fantabulous. And I want to just play in that land, because think of the gift from self-doubt. When you open yourself up, kind of like a gift, is inquiry. Now, one of the things that I really cherished when I was teaching children is I didn't want them to try to find the right answer. I just wanted them to ask the great questions. And so allowing the space of your mind to open like a child and just keep questioning, like, well, I love that Richard says, he's like, I know this might sound blasphemous, but there is no truth, like scientific truth.
Yeah.
There is scientific exploration and there's scientific insight. But once you lock truth into a fixed state, then it becomes dogma.
Yes.
And so
an opinion, and yeah, and it doesn't because it's continuously changing. And this is something
we're continuously changing.
Yes, I was gonna say it goes into our evolution of who we were yesterday, who we were 10 minutes ago, the same person.
The same.
And how fun can that be? So I'm going to ask more questions. So
yeah,
that whole thing of, what if the adults aren't right? What if the plaything is where I'm supposed to be? What if I really am just a ball of delight? Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, what if? What if? So let's so the the doubt leads to the inquiry, because it actually, if we didn't have doubt, then we wouldn't like start asking the questions, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Because
then,
if you're sure of everything, there's
oh,
no more questions to ask.
that was the other thing that was so big in my mind this morning is I need to do a blog on intellectual humility. We so often think that we need to show up as being credible, like, I've got this, I know this. And what if we were to show up and go, I don't know
I
anything,
don't know.
and I'm going to be your teacher in this. Let's learn how to not know anything together. I mean, that is terrifying. First of all, to say that out loud, which I just did. And would I dare do that on LinkedIn, which I'm thinking about doing today. So
Wow.
I know. And what's the worst that could happen? You know, maybe somebody would like it, maybe most people would scroll past it, so how do we get to truth?
Mm.
There was some, oh, I want, you did talk a little bit about the repressive and the reactive, but the
Yeah.
programming partner, which is also my culture and my,
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. This is the bookends of the gene keys. So there's the first and the second, and then the other bookend is the 63rd and the 64th. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about the 64th?
I did a blog years ago on the shadows of 63 and 64. And the shadow of this one is doubt. The shadow of 64 is confusion.
Oh,
So I'm like, oh, doubt and confusion. So I called it the twin sisters of doubt and confusion, and how I hang out there until I get to a place where I get exhausted, because that can only run so long, that loop. And then to get to the inquiry, which gets to the, oh shoot, what is the 64? The
imagination.
yeah, which, because inquiry opens up, well, what else is possible with, I can imagine different things. And so it's that, and then truth and illumination are just, they're the same thing but a little different view of them. Truth is more of a being state, illumination is more of what happens when you hit truth, like you beam, right? And
Hmm.
it's,
I kind of feel that. I feel like truth is more anchored in your beingness. It's more
absolutely.
like earthy,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the imagination or the illumination is more fiery, it's more creative, it's more, So I also, when we think
They're both they're both the pineal or pineal. What do you say it
pineal,
has?
yeah, pineal gland. And so 63 is the left hemisphere, and of course 64 is the right hemisphere.
Exactly. So we're
So
playing
it's
we're playing with the logic and the creation and the intuition. So that's why they program each other, which you can see. And then how do we just have a nice healthy loop between those? Because then it's, I mean, shadow, which is really good, because when I get to a place where I get stuck and I can't figure out the answer, I know now to stop, you know, and it, it's better. I think confusion is more fun for me because there's so many options to choose from. Whereas doubt, I just feel hopeless and helpless, and there's nothing right. So, it feels, um, starting to know that and starting to know what it shows up and manifests like in our bodies.
mm,
I get like this
yeah.
constricted. And it's, so then if I go, okay, open, 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 that's when the light comes in. That's when truth, I remember truth. It's when I can breathe into who I really truly am, which is just a big ball of inquiry and imagination.
Yeah, it is definitely, I think you find that when you're in that left hemisphere and you pause, that's when you need to surrender. And when you surrender, the right hemisphere pops in and says, "Hey, I can help with that.
Yeah. Glad you asked.
We can work together. What a concept." let's work together.
It's so amazing. And that's pretty much the way it works, right? Because the logical part of the brain is all about, and we've also called it the masculine side of the brain. And he speaks
Right.
to that a little bit in the 64 ways, not male, female, but it's that taking apart, making sense of things, pulling things apart so that we can look at all the pieces.
Yeah.
Whereas the right side of the brain, the intuitive, creative side, is like, oh, the whole big picture. It's beautiful. Look at that. And we're like,
Mm.
you know,
So I think I probably spoke about this a long time ago, but there was a time in my life, probably, I don't know, back in 2016, where I had two journals
hmm,
and I let those voices speak. So one of my journals like was creative, like wanted to play in colors and like just dance in there and scribble around and whatever. And then my other journal was very clean, precise. The handwriting was like architectural handwriting, very
yep.
precision. And I ended up realizing that
Zoe
this
and
was,
Diane.
yeah, Zoe and Diana, my playful self in one hand, and then my logical one in the other. And I was giving a play shop or a workshop play shop at that time, and they go, have they actually written in each other's journals yet? And I was like, at the time I was like, no, not yet, but we're working on it. And
I could imagine being Diana going, Zoe's going to like mess up my pages. It won't
exactly
be very
right.
pretty and it won't be done the way I like it to be done. And
So now it's like I want to give people permission to play in both playlands. We can have both. We can have both. We can be messy and creative and playful and also still do the logical things that make sense. So it's inspired logic. Inspired logic. They
yeah,
work together. They work to-
there was a thing at a leadership conference where we talked about the dynamics that were seemingly opposite and how to see the relationship. And the two that I picked were discipline and creativity. And I'm like, and she said, but look at that. So if you're too creative and you don't have any discipline, then you have to like dig yourself out because you haven't paid your bills for the last 2 years. And then you have to go back over and go, oh, now I'm too serious. I need to open up my brain some more. So it's like, how do we have that healthy flow versus getting stuck in one or stuck in the other? And they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
no.
So I thought you either were a creative or you were disciplined and worked hard. And I couldn't figure out how to be both of those in my role at work, in my career. In my life I could maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
so thank you for bringing that forth. And so I just wonder, so does Zoe come and dance all over Diana's journal now, or?
Oh yes, we all play together. Well, and that's, I think, part of what I have chosen to do here is lighten the load and recognize that we all have our own gifts to share, and that creative flair that maybe you squelched at a really young age, let them out to play. And so many new possibilities can come into fruition.
Yeah. And I think I'm here to say it's okay to love the ugly parts, the
Right.
parts that are afraid to be creative, that are afraid to make a mess with the art supplies, that are afraid to use them up and then have to replace them. I want to, because I've been so judgy of those sides of myself, that I think that my work here is how do I integrate and love on those parts that have been, oh, you're not pretty. You go sit in the back, you
Right.
know? So that's why we balance so well. Um, so anything else? I want to share the mudra for this,
Yeah, please do.
and which is why when I was playing with this, I felt like I needed to lead by we opened with a centering, which didn't get right into the juice. Sorry about that, anybody who is unhappy about that. But okay, so if you take your palms and you take your index fingers up and your pinky fingers up, and your thumbs just stay together. And basically, it's everything. And this is the truth of what is. And every part of our life is truth. Can we just feel into that and breathe into that? It's so strange, the energy that goes between my hands and fingers when we do these mudras, because it feels like I'm imagining that this is bringing more of a grounded truth into my body. I mean, which is always there. I think it's just the awareness.
Mhm.
So thank you, hands, for doing that, reminding my body, even when my mind is unsure and doubtful, that I am truth. My life is truth. I am showing up in truth. So,
Thank you. Enjoy that relaxedness into your own truth.
feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.